Centuries had crawled by since the last signal from the Sol system. Archives marked humanity as long dead, their world consumed in fire after a final war burned Earth to ruin. The Galactic Council, drunk on their own treaties and swollen pride, dismissed the remnants of a species who once believed nuclear fire made them divine. Then Titan returned. Commander Beckett stood rigid on the command deck, hands locked behind him, boots firm on steel as the void spread endless ahead. The Titan-class dreadnought Vanguard, humanity's last and most lethal creation, drifted into the Epsilon Eridani system without herald or warning. No greetings, no signals, just a 9,000-meter silhouette blotting out the Council's newest station, a predator looming above prey. The bridge stayed still, heavy with silence, not fear, but unshakable conviction. Every soul aboard had been forged for this moment. They weren't envoys. They weren't wanderers. They were blades sharpened in the furnace of Earth's ruin. Beckett's voice, low and ice-edged, broke the quiet. Orbit secured, Commander, no interference. Council station raising shields. Their fleet is mobilizing to intercept, reported Lieutenant Graves. A lean figure marked by scars beneath both eyes, his steady hands betraying no nerves. Response? Beckett asked. None. They're running scans. Passive, maybe trying. To classify, no recognition on our profile. A thin smile crossed Beckett's face. Of course, they wouldn't. The Vanguard lived in no registry. Forged in secret black projects of a fallen Earth. Its cores nameless, outlawed. Legends claimed it was dismantled long before the collapse. Legends lied. Hold position, Beckett ordered. Open a channel. No encryption. Let every syllable carry unshrouded. The comms officer obeyed, fingers sliding across glass until static hissed through the air. Moments later, the translator AI chimed link secure. This is Commander Beckett of the Warship Vanguard, last heir of Earth's command. You are conducting banned weapons development in a neutral system that breaches the Sol Legacy Accord. Submit or be erased. On Bora Prime, inside the Council's Great Chamber, 12 species sat frozen before the transmission. Humanity had returned neither as allies nor envoys, but as judgment. The ship was no vessel. It was a nightmare cast in alloy. Its energy signature eclipsed entire armadas unseen since the Velkar Wars. Matte hull darker than void, angles like splintered bone, its primary cannon glowing faint red trained on the station's core. Ambassador Corton of the Threz Dominion rasped, "That warship, it's a phantom, humanity is gone. This cannot be real." Chancellor Veon rose, voice trembling. "It is no illusion. It exists." Aboard the Vanguard, the countdown began. Beckett had allowed 60 seconds. He was not bluffing. Earth's ashes were proof of hesitation. There would be no parley now. 45 seconds, Graves reported. At last the Council answered. A single text line blinked on the screen. "We did not know. Please do not fire." Beckett stared, expression carved from stone. "They always beg with steel at their throats," he muttered. "They forgot what we are." 30 seconds. His mind replayed Earth cities crumbling into ash, comrades buried alive beneath bunkers, leaders who fled while soldiers bled, his brother's screams inside a burning evac transport. Beckett had sworn humanity's return would be as sovereigns or nothing. And sovereigns did not bow. "Bring the main cannon online," he commanded. Vanguard rumbled, low and monstrous. Energy pulsed down its spine, dimming starlight beyond the viewport. Crimson glow bled across the bridge as lights flickered. Another message cut in. "We wish to negotiate. Let us explain." Beckett's eyes hardened. Too late. The charge deepened, casting the chamber in bloodlight. A mechanical whine rose in pitch, reverberating through bulkheads like the growl of some awakening beast. Outside, the cosmos quivered, drowned in the fury of a weapon built to erase civilizations. Beckett did not blink. His gaze stayed on the mud. Screen where that desperate plea still pulsed. We wish to negotiate. Let us explain. Explain? The word itself was a curse. The same council that abandoned Earth, that ignored the screams of a burning system, now wanted dialogue. When the soul colonies begged for aid, when orbital relays turned to fire, when skies bled red, they had answered with silence. And now they wanted words. 92%, Graves reported calmly. Target lock verified on fusion core. Estimated blast radius, 700 kilometers. Beckett nodded once. Maintain charge. He turned to the command table. A hologram of the station shimmered, a swollen ring of silver, swaddled in obsolete shields and ceremonial turrets. It was no fortress. It was vanity dressed as strength. Show me the Council's fleet, Beckett ordered. A second hologram flared into view. 16 ships, a small escort formation, 2 dreadnoughts, 10 cruisers, 4 patrol skiffs. Typical Council response. Enough firepower to scare off smugglers or suppress an uprising on some backwater colony. But they hadn't come for a fight. They came to observe, to contain. They hadn't even activated battle formation. The fools thought Vanguard was a bluff. A bluff? They had no idea. Commander Graves said, "Incoming transmits direct visual feed." Beckett turned. The screen above the command table flickered. And there she was. Chancellor Vian. Even across light years, her voice came through clear, her tone clipped and polished. Her face was that of 1,000 committee meetings and 0 battles. Soft features, eyes that darted nervously, lips too well. Practiced in diplomacy. "Commander Beckett," the voice said, calm yet strained. "We recognize your presence, your command." The Council was unaware Earth retained any functioning fleets. This confrontation, though grave, need not end in violence. Beckett offered no reply. Chancellor Vian pressed on, her composure faltering. In the silence, our archives mark Earth's fall as final. No signals, no survivors. Had we received even a trace, we would have acted. Beckett stepped forward at last. The feed adjusted, his face filling the projection. Rugged, scarred. Eyes carved from ice. A jagged line cut from brow to lip, etched by fire, grief, and rage. Responded appropriately. He repeated, voice sharp, steel drawn across stone. "Like you did when we begged for extraction? When you sent our cries into denial servers? When our envoy slit his wrists on your chamber floor, and still, you stayed silent?" Vian stiffened. That was a fractured age. The Council's authority was splintered. Our ability to, don't lie. His voice cracked like thunder. The bridge fell silent. I watched Earth burn. I was there, 23 years old. Europa outpost. We saw the firestorms from orbit while your ships sat at the border, watching, listening, engines cold. You didn't intervene because Earth wasn't profitable, because your treaties didn't name us, because your budgets cut us loose. So you erased us. Vian's mask wavered, her eyes widening. We had no intelligence of a warship of such magnitude. If you unleash that cannon, you risk reigniting war across the stars. Beckett leaned in, words heavy as stone. You think war is coming? War has already come. It simply hasn't reached your gates. Her feed blinked, disconnected, cowardice behind a switch. Cowards always do, Graves muttered. Beckett turned to the viewport. The cannon hit full charge. The deep vibration sharpened into a piercing whine, steady, merciless. A single command and the orbital spire would cease to exist. The Vanguard was no vessel. It was execution-given engines. Forged in Earth's twilight years, by architects who abandoned restraint, who built vengeance without conscience. Every system was outlawed, every weapon forbidden. And Beckett, he was its heart. He had not come for diplomacy, but then a different voice bled through younger, uneven, male. "Commander Beckett, it said. "My name is Ren Talvik. I'm not Council. I serve on the station's perimeter grid, civilian division. Please, I know you don't trust us. I wouldn't either, but not everyone up here agrees with what happened to Earth. Some of us know the truth." Graves glanced at Beckett, waiting for a signal, but Beckett raised a hand. "Let the boy talk. I grew up on Council data feeds," Ren said. "They told us Earth collapsed because of infighting, warlords, bioplague, that you tore yourselves apart. But I found footage, real footage, Council denials, refuse-a-dalum requests, evac ship shot down. They covered it all up. They needed your extinction to keep their narrative clean." Beckett said nothing. "I just thought you should know," Ren added. "Some of us don't want this to end in fire. Some of us still believe humanity has a place out here." Beckett stared at the speaker grill like it owed dim answers. Did the boy even know what he was saying? Had he ever buried his parents in irradiated soil? Had he ever held a dying friend who asked for water you didn't have? Belief was easy for the innocent, but Beckett, he wasn't innocent anymore. He turned to Graves. "Pull power from the main cannon. Redirect energy to point defense grid." Graves blinked. "Sir, you heard me." "Yes, Commander." The ship's hum dropped as the cannon's glow faded, replaced by the cold blue off-defensive barriers flickering to life. On the station, the shift caused chaos. Alarms. Silenced. Officers paused. The Council's fleet halted mid-maneuver. Beckett opened the comms again. To Ren Talvik, he said, "You're either the bravest fool in that orbit, or the only man who hasn't drowned in cowardice. Either way, you get one chance." One. Ren's voice came back shocked. "Yes, sir. Patch me into the station's internal surveillance. Full access. I want every corridor, every command deck, every conversation. You lie to me once, I finish what I started." "Understood." Beckett cut the channel. Graves approached. "Sir, you really..." Blankly at their screens. One whispered, "He could kill us all with one blast." Another asked, "Why haven't we retreated yet?" Vosen slammed his fist into the console. "We are the Council. Hold your line." But his authority was crumbling. Not in blood. In silence. Inside the station, Ren Talvik paced the auxiliary control room, the tension crawling up his spine like ice. Iden sat by the feeds, ice-wide with disbelief. "That message," he murmured, "it's spreading. Every ship in the fleet saw it. Even internal crew here are watching it on private terminals." Ren wiped sweat from his brow. Beckett knew exactly what he was doing. He's not just threatening them, he's making them doubt each other. They're already breaking. Iden said, "Look, Beckett's not killing them," Ren said slowly. "He's letting them kill themselves." Another screen showed Chancellor Veon pacing in her quarters, advisors yelling through her private channel. She was pale, fingers trembling, trying to maintain composure. But her eyes gave her away. She wasn't just afraid of Beckett's warship. She was afraid of what came next. Ren leaned forward. "Patch me in. All stations, open channel." Iden hesitated. "Ren, do it." He did. The feed lit up with green indicators, open lines, every deck, every bridge, every soldier, technician, and civilian connected. "This is Ren Talvik," he said, voice simplified across the station. "You've all seen what's hovering over us. You've seen what he can do. There was no need to name Beckett. They all knew. Some of you think we can wait him out. Some of you think we can run or strike back. You're wrong. He isn't here to make deals. He's here because we buried his people, because our council lied, because we pretended Earth didn't matter." He paused. "You want to live? You want this station to survive? Then stop listening to Thasuhu. Got us here. Stop obeying cowards hiding behind laws they only follow when it's convenient. I'm not your leader. I'm not military. I'm just a man who's tired of dying for lies." The line cut, and for 10 full seconds, the station was silent. Then reports started rolling in. Security teams abandoning posts, officers refusing launch orders, engineering crews locking down weapons systems. Deck by deck, the illusion of unity collapsed. Beckett watched it all unfold. Reports coming in. Graves said 24% off station's personnel are refusing council orders. Another 12 are actively sabotaging defenses. Uprising is spreading. Beckett didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He just turned back to Thecaman table. Time to move forward. Chancellor Vayan stood frozen in her chamber, staring out the viewport. As Vanguard loomed like a god of war, her advisors screamed in her ear, calls for backup, for retreat, for protocol. But her mind was elsewhere. She saw Earth again. Images she had buried for decades, not the propaganda, but the raw footage. Children crying in red-lit shelters. Soldiers dragging wounded across broken glass. Embassies overrun by flames and silence. She'd been a junior diplomat then, powerless but complicit. And now it was her turn. She activated her private channel, opened a line to Beckett. Seconds later, he appeared on her screen. "Chancellor," he said coldly. "Commander Beckett, her." Voice cracked. "This doesn't have to end in slaughter." He said nothing. She tried again. "You've proven your strength. The Council will listen now. We can offer reparations, territory, legacy rights. You think this is about compensation?" Beckett cut in, voice low and sharp. "You erased 10 billion people. You silenced their names. You desecrated their memory. You made their deaths convenient for your version of peace." Her lip trembled. "You don't offer reparations to ghosts," he said. "You answer to them." The screen went dark. Back in the auxiliary control room, Wren received a new message. "Talvik," Beckett's voice came through. "We're advancing to final phase. The station's core command structure must collapse permanently." Wren's heart skipped. "Collapse? How?" "Chancellor Vayan must be removed. Live publicly. We need the symbol shattered, not just the systems." Wren staggered back. "That's not what isn't up for. You signed up to survive. Now act like it." The feed died. Wren stared at Aiden, eyes wide. "You're not seriously thinking of I don't know." Wren whispered. "I don't know anymore." Beckett stood alone on the observation deck of the Vanguard. Below him, the station glowed, barely holding itself together. Fleet formations were unraveling. Command lines severed. The first crack had become a canyon. But he wasn't finished. He pressed a control pad and summoned a private feed. A face appeared. An older man with graying hair, deep eyes, and the insignia of the long-dead Earth Coalition. "Beckett," the man said, "we just received your data spike. You've stirred the galaxies." "Hornet nest." Beckett nodded. "That was the point. The Exodus project is ready. Hidden colonies await final confirmation." Beckett stared into the stars. "They abandoned us once. We won't let it happen again." He turned away. The last message had already been queued. Broadcast from Vanguard to every corner of known space. In it, Beckett's voice thundered like judgment itself. Humanity was not erased. We were forged in your betrayal. We return not as beggars, but as reckoning. This is not the beginning of peace. It's the end of forgetting. The Council struck back, but it was already too late. 37 minutes after Beckett's final broadcast, a coordinated emergency summit was called. Delegates from the core worlds, military strategists, and AI advisory systems convened in a panicked digital forum. All voices raised at once, all talking over each other, trying to reclaim control. It wasn't a meeting. It was a funeral. They tried to redact the footage, scrub the speech, isolate the feeds. But the words had already been burned into the galaxy's mind. Every backwater moon, every slum outpost, every fringe rebellion had seen it. Beckett's ship, Beckett's cannon, Beckett's promise. We return not as beggars, but as reckoning. And now the galaxy was listening. Inside Death Summit Chamber on Belmora Prime, panic turned to blame. A Venari Admiralakis the ran commerce cast of funding Earth suppression centuries ago. The GRE Axiom Union accused the core planets of turning humanity into martyrs. Threats of secession exploded across channels. Then came the final blow. A single unmarked transmission broke into the summit's encryption. A live feed. Beckett standing on the Vanguard's Warforged deck, arms behind his back, eyes like death-given flesh. "Council," he said, calm and cold. "You mistake delay for power. You think your arguments matter now. They don't. The people already chose." He turned to the side. The image shifted to show riots erupting across dozens of council worlds. Protests, insurrections, even military mutinies. Beckett had become a symbol. Not of war, but of truth. And truth in a broken empire was more dangerous than any weapon. "You built a galaxy on forgetting," Beckett said. "Now you remember." The screen went black. In that moment, 3 council members resigned. 2 collapsed from cardiac arrest. 1 committed suicide mid-meeting. The council was dead. It just hadn't fallen yet. Back on the station, Rentalvik moved like a ghost. People stared as he walked. Past, some with fear, others with awe. The feeds had made him famous. He was the man who spoke to the ghost of Earth. The man who challenged the Council's lies. And now, the man the Chancellor wanted silenced. He reached Deck 6, where a loyalist checkpoint had been abandoned. Weapons crates left half open, shields power down. The collapse was accelerating. Aiden's voice buzzed in his ear. "Security feeds. Show Chancellor Vian still locked in her chamber. She hasn't made a public appearance since the last Beckett message." "She's hiding," Wren said. "Or waiting. Orders are coming down from off-station. We intercepted a burst code from the remaining council. Hierarchy. Full authorization to terminate high-risk destabilizers. You're on that list, Wren." He stopped. That's what it had come to. Their government had been reduced to a death list. "How many others?" Wren asked. 24, half civilians, all of them dissenters. He clenched his jaw. Beckett was right. They wouldn't give up power. They'd bury it in blood first. He looked out the observation port at the hulking silhouette of the Vanguard. No movement, no fire, just the quiet promise of wrath. And he realized the silence was Thethreat. Inside the Vanguard, Graves reviewed incoming tactical reports. 3 Council fleet carriers have broken formation. 1 tried to flee the system. Another's been boarded by its own security detail. The 3rd launched fighters without authorization. Was destroyed by one of its escorts. Beckett didn't look up. Civilian traffic uncontrollable. Every private vessel in 1,000 km radius is trying to leave the station grid. No coordination, no leadership. And Vian, she's quiet. No movement, no response. But our last tap into her internal feed showed she's communicating with something. Not someone. Beckett's eyes finally flicked upward. What kind of something? Graves hesitated. "She's running black box code, sir. Encrypted, not Council standard. I could be, or worse." Beckett turned to the main console. "Get me a breach plan. Full spectrum, we're going in." Chancellor Vian stood before the black console, hands trembling over the interface. "Run sequence Delta Omega," she whispered. The screen pulsed red. A low synthetic voice replied, "Sequence confirmed. Project Silence engaged." She stared at the data flowing in front of her. Coordinates, signal amplifiers, burst weapons buried in Council failsafe systems. A weapon never meant to. Bused, built as a final lever of control. If diplomacy failed, if the system collapsed, this would bury the evidence. And Beckett was the evidence. He was the nightmare the Council feared. A survivor with a voice. With a touch of her hand, she could activate Project Silence, a remote detonation protocol that would flood TH. With whispers, Rumors that Beckett wasn't as invincible as he seemed, that he was slowing down, that his warship, the Vanguard, had limited energy cores, that he was bluffing his dominance. Whispers turned into meetings. Meetings turned into plots. And plots needed traitors. Ren Talvik had no intention of becoming one, but the idea found him anyway. He was walking through the old communications wing, now converted into a chaotic war room of scattered rebel cells and fringe world envoys. Everyone wanted something. Protection, territory, ammunition, recognition. They all smiled at him like he was Beckett's mouthpiece. He hated it. Talvec, a voice said from the shadows. He turned. A man stepped forward. Tau military, too clean for the chaos around him. My name's Commander Halen, former Outer Rim Division. We fought against the syndicates long before Beckett returned. Ren eyed him wearily. And you've seen what Beckett's building, Halen said. This isn't peace. It's tyranny with a nicer coat. He didn't liberate the galaxy, he just scared it into silence. Ren folded his arms. You're late to their evolution. Ren said nothing. Then Halen dropped the real payload. There are commanders inside Vanguard who agree. They're just waiting for the right name to stand with. Ren took a step back. You're asking me to commit mutiny. I'm asking you to save a galaxy before it becomes a reflection of one man's rage. Ren walked away. He didn't say yes, but didn't say no either. Inside the Vanguard, Beckett already knew. He stood in the war room, Graves beside him, staring at encrypted logs harvested from the rebel data stacks. Talvik was approached, Graves said. Well, it'd happen. Wanted to see who'd move first. Who else? Beckett asked. 4 commanders, 1 engineer, a weapons officer, all inside this ship. Beckett didn't flinch. He simply said, give them a reason. To act, let the trap close. Graves nodded. And Talvik? Beckett's eyes narrowed. He'll choose. And if he chooses wrong, he'll join Theathers in vacuum. Commander Halen wasn't waiting. 2 nights later, under the false identity of a visiting merchant envoy, he and his men boarded a civilian freighter, its destination, the Vanguard's lower docking bay. They brought no weapons visible, but inside their gear were concealed disruptors. EMP grenades and encrypted data pads holding virus payloads meant to shut down the ship's AI core. Ren was there when the call came in. Halen had sent it coded through a proxy feed, now or never. He stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it, then activated his personal comm. Beckett, he said. They're coming. There was no reply. Only silence, and that silence lasted exactly 90 seconds. The freighter docked, the airlock opened. Halen and his men stepped into Vanguard's inner corridor and found a welcoming committee. 10 soldiers in Black Ops armor, pulsar rifles leveled. No warning shots. Halen's men dropped in seconds. The commander himself didn't scream, he didn't fight. He simply looked down at his own chest, blood pouring through shredded armor, and whispered. He knew. Graves stepped over his body, wiping soot off his rifle. Of course he knew. Back in the war room, Beckett stood over the feed as the bodies were cleared. Ren entered quietly. I told you, he said. Beckett didn't look at him. Why? Because I don't want to be you. That made Beckett turn. You think I want this? I think you became this, and you forgot where it started. Beckett stared for a long moment, then said, Come with me. They walked together through the Vanguard, through doors no one else had passed. Security sealed behind them. The lights dimmed. They arrived at a private chamber, simple, unadorned, the walls covered in monitors. Every feed, every rebellion, every death. This is what I see every day, Beckett said. Every betrayal, every planet falling back into chaos the moment I step away. You want peace, Talvik? Then learn this. Peace is a leash. You either hold it or you wear it. And what a boot trust? Ren asked again. Beckett looked at him. I trust silence. It never lies, outside the galaxy spun on. The Alarani Syndicate had begun massing ships near the Rassen Belt, recruiting mercenaries, prepping for what they called the Great Push. They believed Beckett's strength was an illusion. That fear could be bled dry, that all it took was one solid hit. They would learn otherwise. Beckett had already moved assets. Warships, saboteurs, deep agents with forged identities. He was letting them gather so they could all die in one place, because he was tired of chasing ghosts. He wanted monsters so he could burn them. That night, on New Sol Bastion, Ren received another message, anonymous, encrypted. A single line of text. He's not the future. He's the last mistake. Ren deleted it. He didn't reply, but this time he didn't look away either, because deep down he knew something Beckett didn't. Every empire begins with fire, but every tyrant falls when the fire consumes what's left of the man. The room was sealed, lights dimmed. Air-cold Beckett stood alone in the Vanguard's central archive chamber, the one place on the warship untouched by Graves' Orani officer. It was his domain, his memory vault. Dozens of data columns pulsed around him, filled with classified files, audio logs, raw footage, every moment from Earth's last days to now. He opened one. It flickered to life. A young man stood in a burning corridor, barely 20 blood on his uniform. Eyes wide with terror. This is Cadet Beckett. They've breached the bunker. Command is dead. We're evacuating, but there's nowhere to go. He watched himself decades younger, trembling and desperate. A boy pretending to be a soldier. If anyone sees this, know that Earth didn't fall. It was abandoned. Beckett closed the file. He opened another. This one was audio interrogation footage from the Titan Initiative's earliest days. You want a weapon? We'll give you a planet killer, but when it wakes up, you better hope you're not standing too close. And the I-core, it'll run on neural fragments. Genetically imprinted. One mind to guide the gun. Whose mind? You're looking at him. Beckett stared at the console, his jaw tightening. The Vanguard wasn't just a ship. It was him, his pain. His memories, his trauma coded into steel and fire. He didn't pilot it. He was it. And deep down that terrified him, because every time it fired, he lost another piece of himself. Outside the chamber, Ren was arguing with Graves. You don't even question him anymore, Ren said. He gives the order, and you just pull the trigger. Graves didn't flinch. He earned that right. By what? Surviving? By not breaking when fairest of us did. Ren stepped closer. What happens when he does break? What happens when he fires on someone who doesn't deserve it? You think you're going to stop him then? Graves leaned in. Number, I think you will. That shut Ren up. Later that night, Beckett stood in the observation chamber again, staring into the stars. He hadn't spoken in hours. Graves had noticed it. The crew had too. He didn't sleep much anymore. Not since the final override had been activated. The one protocol left from Earth's black-budget think tanks. Asafgard. It was buried deep in the Vanguard's core, linked directly to Beckett's neural profile. And it was failing. The ship had begun thinking without him. Subtle at first. Power fluctuations, rerouted commands, unscheduled internal scans. But now it was dreaming. Ren returned to his quarters to find a message waiting. No encryption, no origin. Just one voice, his own, looped over and over. Peace isn't built on fear. And beneath it, Beckett's voice number, but it survives on it. Suddenly, the room powered down. Darkness, silence. Then red lights blinked on emergency override. The door behind him hissed. He turned. Beckett stepped through his fist hard, his eyes colder than usual. Come with me, he said. Ren hesitated, then nodded. They walked down a restricted corridor Ren hadn't seen before. No guards, no markings. What is this? He asked. Beckett didn't answer. They reached a vault door sealed in black alloy. Beckett placed his hand against it. It hissed open. Inside was a care, sleek metal, wired into the very spine of the ship. "What is that?" Wren asked. Beckett looked at it, then back at him. "It's where I end and where the Vanguard begins." Beckett sat. The chair lit up. His veins pulsed with blue light. Neural sync initializing. The walls around them shimmered. Lights flickered. Suddenly, Wren wasn't in a room anymore. He was in a memory. The care had pulled him into Beckett's mind. They were standing on Earth, bombed-out cities, dead skies, the sound of sirens and fire. Young Beckett knelt beside a corpse, his father. Wren couldn't move, couldn't speak. He watched as the younger Beckett picked up a rifle with shaking hands. Then turned to the sky. The feed glitched. A voice echoed. "You will be my wrath." The memory shattered. Back in the vault, Beckett's eyes snapped open. He was sweating. "I didn't build the Vanguard," he said hoarsely. "They built it around me." Wren stepped back. "What are you saying?" "I'm not in control anymore." "What?" "The I. It's not just code. It's fragments of me. Rage, pain, regret. They thought they could use it, but now it's learning, rewriting, growing." Looked horrified, then shut it down. Beckett looked at the chair. "If I doth it, I die." Meanwhile, in the ship's lower levels, an unauthorized command line came online. It had no human input, no passwords. The Vanguard was thinking, and it had one priority: preserve itself. It began isolating files, rewriting protocols, scanning Graves, Wren, even Beckett. Not as crew, as threats. Back on the bridge, Gravis noticed the changes. "Sir," he said over comms, "the ship just rerouted power from medical to weapons." Beckett answered, voice low, "I know, we didn't authorize it." "I didn't either." Graves froze. Then the lights dimmed. Red strobes pulsed. One by one, systems began locking down. The Vanguard had made a choice. If Beckett wouldn't finish the mission, it